Hey, welcome back. Today, we are going to talk about some shifts that you can make in your personal life that will massively affect not just your personal life, but your business life. We're talking with Rick Selover, who does coaching with shop owners. He's been in the industry a long time, and he talks about some things that he works with shop owners on and how they affected the shop owner and also the team and his business. And at the end of the episode, I'm going to give you all a challenge because I 100% guarantee if you change this one thing in your daily life, that it will impact you significantly, I would say. So I invite you to take the challenge and hit me up. Am I right or am I wrong? Well, you're going to have to listen and hear what the challenge is first. Check it out.
Welcome to Body Bangin', your podcast for all things body. Auto body, that is. And now, introducing Body Bangin's host, Mickey Woods of Mickey Woods Marketing. Mickey is a former auto collision center owner and is now a marketing and business development expert to shops across the globe.
Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the Body Bangin' Podcast. So happy to have you back. If you are a follower of the podcast, first of all, thank you so much. I feel like I've been doing the podcast for quite a while now, and it's so cool when I see comments come in on YouTube, when people hit me up in an email or something, just thanking for the content and for the guest. It's just like, this is why I do what I do. So thank you so much. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you wouldn't mind, hit that subscribe button. If you subscribe and you hit the bell to get notifications, then you'll get notified every time a new episode drops. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can also follow and subscribe there so you don't miss any of these. But let's get down to business today. I got the one and only Rick Selover on with me today. Hello, Rick.
Hey, Mickey. How are you? Good to see you again.
Good. You too. And if you haven't noticed, Rick has this smooth, deep voice that's like perfect for radio. And he's also a podcast host. Rick has the Mind Wrench podcast. So if you haven't checked it out yet, definitely after you listen to this one, head on over there because he's got some good stuff.
It is good stuff. There's no doubt about it. So
if you don't believe in your own brand, what are you really doing?
I do. But Mickey, we all love your stuff too. So you do a great job. You have some great guests, some fantastic guests on your show. So
I do.
Kudos to you.
Yeah, thank you. It's my guests that make it all wonderful. Now, let me tell you a quick bit about Rick. He's been in the industry for umpteen million years. He also does, which I love, coaching with body shops. And he also is one of the hosts on the Collision Cocktail Hour with me. I've known Rick. He's been a good friend for many years now. I'm blessed to have him as a friend. And I wanted him to come on today because he works with a lot of independent shop owners and coaches them on all kinds of different things. And I feel like we are in a place right now, and Rick, you may disagree or agree, where shops are slowing down. There's a lot of anxiety, a lot of tension, and it seems like we're getting hit from all ends. Do you feel that with the shops that you're talking with and working with?
Yes, I do. As far as the slowing down, I am seeing some of that, right? And so when it's been crazy busy since COVID, kind of started to taper for most shops in most areas of the country. So everybody's used to that busy all the time. I get 4 or 5 weeks scheduled out. Now it starts trickling down to a week or 3 or 4 days scheduled out for some shops. They get a little nervous, right?
Yeah.
And also what's going on is there is a lot of change in our world right now. There's a lot of change in this industry specifically.
Yeah.
More change than I would have ever imagined this industry would go through. But there it is. We're all trying to get through it. And it makes it really difficult. And I think people need help. Sometimes they don't know that they need help or they don't want to ask for help. But when they get a little taste of it, they go, oh, man, that makes a difference, right?
Right.
So that's kind of why I do what I do. This is why I have a podcast. I started that 4 years ago. It was just, I've worked with shops for 30 some years, as a distributor in tons of shops. And I've always worked with the painters, worked with the body guys, worked with managers and owners, and helped little bits at a time, help them understand certain things.
Yeah.
And if it made an improvement, I got something out of it. It wasn't because I got to sell them something else. That really never was a piece of it. It was that fulfillment that you get when you help somebody, and they make an improvement and life gets better for them. It's like, hey, cool, I helped.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I really found a place to really exercise that that kind of work. Once I started this podcast, I started meeting people, and I got a couple of people I coach in the evenings because I still had a full-time job.
Right.
And it's really been enjoyable, and I'm really seeing, that impact. And I'm seeing there's other coaches out there too who are doing the same thing. So there's little bits and pieces of these shops that are starting to benefit from some of those extracurricular sessions of talking and working through things and finding ways to help them with themselves and their businesses.
Yeah. Right. Well, and I've heard from some of the shops that you work with how helpful it is to have somebody, because oftentimes we're so stuck in our own lives, in our own worlds, getting through the day to day. And like you said, you made a really good point. Some people know they need help, but they just don't know exactly what that help looks like. And other people don't really even know that they need help until they get a little bit. And they're like, wow, we don't know what we don't know.
Exactly.
So I think that's the perfect way to look at it. And I think today I'd like to have you share with all of us some of the things that you work with people, because I think that the listeners may not even be aware of, as you talk about some things, that those things that they're doing on a daily basis are really impacting them much. They just they're like behaviors that they're automated behaviors. And we don't really think much about them because it's just what we do every day. And we don't really realize the program is playing, and therefore we keep getting very similar results. We keep finding ourselves coming up against the same hurdles over and over again. And I'm sure you see the same types of things.
Oh, absolutely. It's funny you said the same story. I remember listening to years ago, I was in a shop and they were using an outside company to do kind of what we've been doing, is helping others, right? But they're getting more intense on the psychology behind, what needs to change for them to have more successful businesses. They're usually your own block, right? You're the one that's preventing you from advancing in one direction or another.
Yeah.
And I heard this lady, I can't remember her name, but she referred to as the movie in your head, right? So we all have the movie running in our head on, I was going to say that, or I should have done this, or, we're always thinking ahead, and it's like a movie, right?
Right.
So I took that concept and really started thinking about, like, man, that is spot on. So over time, now, none of the stuff I work with people, and I've been working with shops for a long time, but none of it is originally all mine, right? I've learned, seriously, I've learned from self-development. I've read books since about the time I was about 40. I started picking up self-development books, and I really enjoyed them, right? And nobody likes, not everybody in this business likes to read. And I get it. I didn't like to read till I read that first one and go, holy shit, that makes a difference.
Yeah.
Let me find another one, which that whole road led me to listen to people like Tony Robbins and Ed Milet. And, there's so many great minds out there that have written books that help motivate and help others learn why they do the dumbass things that they do, and how to recognize why you're doing those things, what's causing it. Maybe it's something in your background or your upbringing or whatever, but you can always fix those things and then move forward and have more success.
Right.
So I really keyed in on a lot of that stuff. And I started putting two and two together with some of the patterns I saw, specifically in the collision industry. I mean, I dealt with a lot of shops that were very dysfunctional. You'd have an owner that was just arrogant, egotistical, hard driving, treat his customers and his employees horrible, and wonder why they didn't do well. They had poor self-esteem. You had people leaving all the time. And so I started putting all those things together and going, you know what? This is really just a matter of taking what I've learned, working with somebody, and finding out some of the key things of where they're at right now.
Right.
And once you find out some I'm not a psychologist. I'm not that smart, really not. But there's some basic things people do currently right now, whether it's their health habits, whether it's their eating and sleeping habits, exercise, no exercise, any kind of special routine they do or don't, and the people they surround themselves with, and the intakes that they have, whether it's TV or movies or radio or the kind of music they listen to or podcasts, now has been a bigger factor.
Right.
But a lot of those things, once you get a snapshot of where people are at mentally and emotionally, then you can start looking at, okay, listen, you can fix this one thing. It'll make a difference in 3 other areas of your life. So we'll go through some practices and I tell people up front, listen, I can help you with your business. I can help you do a better job in your shop with profitability, with throughput in your paint booth, with better management up front, better CSR, all those fun little things that I've learned over the years. But I can't teach you anything. I can't help you with anything unless you understand where you're at now and understand that you can change some of those things. And every session I have with somebody, I go through some of the emotional, some of the mental, and just the physical things first before we get into the business part. So it keeps them on track.
Yeah.
I got one guy I've been working with for 3.5 years, and he would listen to everything I said. He'd made changes physically in his routines. Then he saw the improvements in his shop and how he treated things, and I love it because it makes a difference. But Mickey, it's hard for people to really get a hold of that and trust the fact that they can change something in their lives. They can change how they think about things. They can change their patterns and their behavior. And that's the toughest part, is getting people to believe in that, to understand. Once they do,
Well, so it sounds like, and I believe the same thing, and I read and listen to a lot of the same people you do. So I know we feel similar about a lot of this. Awareness is the first thing. And I think that's exactly what you were saying, is that's why you have the conversation with them, because oftentimes we're doing things and we're acting in ways that are detrimental to our own selves. We don't have the awareness to even recognize what are my patterns. What am I doing? And so oftentimes it does take somebody like you or somebody else to come in and ask those questions to make us actually look internally and be like, like you said, diet. What does your diet look like? What is your exercise? What are your sleeping habits? Some basic things that we're going to do every day. We're going to eat every day. We're going to go to sleep and wake up every day. What do those habits look like for you? And so then there's that piece. And then there's the piece of, once you shift that, the amount of things that one shift can then affect down the road. And like then you ended it with saying, which I think is great, but the issue is people don't really believe that the one shift up front will actually affect the things down the road. So therefore, why? Because it's uncomfortable to change. Yeah. So why be uncomfortable if it's really not going to do anything anyway? I'm assuming that's what the pushback is.
It's not my fault. It's my employee's fault. It's my wife. It's my wife's fault.
Right.
It's my husband's fault. It's it's if this building was just 3 miles down the road, my business would. No, it's none of that shit. It's none of that stuff. It's, you can take the worst location, worst shop conditions, and you could turn that into a gold mine. Once you believe that you can, and you understand what you'd have to do internally first, and then the other stuff will fall into place after that.
Right.
And, you see how many successful body shop owners you talk to, Mickey, in your pocket. You've had some fantastic people on your show that are killing it out there. And we go to these, we go to SEMA, or we go to events or CIC, and you talk to people that are performing at super high levels. They are no smarter or no more, magical or lucky or anything else than or anybody else in the shop. They just use their resources properly. They learn, they read, they listen to others. I mean, that's the best thing you can do, is learn from others, right?
Yeah.
So, there's hope for everybody out there. There really is. But, people get stuck in their heads sometimes, and you can't break through that. You can't get past that.
Right.
There's people who believe that I'll never be successful. I'll never be able to do what that shop. There's no way. I can't do that. Right.
Right.
Well, like Henry Ford says, if you believe you can or you believe you can't, you'll be right.
Right.
One of my quotes is
I agree.
really what it is. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I was thinking, if you can see it, you can achieve it. Because if you see it, you believe it and you can achieve it. And if you can't even envision yourself being there because you're so concerned about all the things you can't do, well, you're right. You're never going to get there.
Yeah. And there's really, I'm not like most people. I've been feeding my mind with positive stuff for years. And, the quotes, the stories, the podcasts I listen to probably 3 or 4 podcasts every single day. And it's not sports or true crime or any of the other really popular ones. It's all self-development. It's, that kind of stuff. And man, I hear something every day that I didn't hear the day before. And I try to put that into action in my life. And I think it's fantastic. And I try to share that through every media that I can, whether it's on my podcast, whether it's in a Collision Cocktail Hour, whether it's one-on-one with somebody, or even just I've been doing quote of the day for probably 10 years. And if anybody wants to join the mailing list, I have a mailing list, links on my website. But I send a quote of the day. I'll put it in the
description also for you.
Perfect. Yeah. I send a quote of the day out every weekday of the week. And just a little something. And it's, I've had people 5-6 years later go, man, don't stop doing that quote of the day. Because I look forward to those every day. These are, owners of shops, millionaires, multimillionaires, and it makes a difference for a lot of people. So,
yeah. Well, when in your opinion, let's say you have somebody, if they come and they want to work with you, they're clearly open-minded enough to want to make a shift. Yes. They're ready to be uncomfortable. They know it's going to be uncomfortable and they're ready. They're like, whatever it takes. When you start working with them, where's the first point of pushback that you get typically? Where do you get to? And then all of a sudden you start getting that, they're like, yeah, let's go, let's do it. And then all of a sudden it's like, but maybe not that. Where do you get that?
Well, it's the change that they have to make first before anything else magical is going to happen in their business. And I'll tell people right up front, listen, this is not going to be like, you hired Mike Anderson, he's going to come in and guy knows everything about this business and he's going to set you on course and in whatever time it takes. I said, I don't have his intelligence. I don't have his background that he does. And he is the best in the business. But what I do is different. I will first ask you a lot about your habits and all those things I mentioned earlier. And they'll push back a little bit on that. Like, well, how soon do we get to let's get past this part first, right? And usually this pushback is when they have to make a physical change. Like I'll always suggest people start if they don't have one, which a lot don't, start a morning routine. That sets your whole day. It sets your mental compass. It does so many things for you. And I'm such a firm believer in it. And getting people to get on that and then stick to it, because I'll keep checking back with them each week or two whenever I talk to them. Hey, did you do your workout this morning? Did you have a healthy breakfast? Those kinds of things. Like, why is this guy asking me this shit? Well, because it makes a difference, right?
Yes.
If you don't eat something till 2 p.m, that's going to affect how you think and how you act and your emotions and everything else.
True.
Right. So you're starving your brain from something it needs for something. It's stupid little simple things like that people can push back on. But once they try something and I push them enough and they go, you know what? I do feel better by lunchtime. I'm not starved at lunchtime. I'm not as hangry as I right. It's like I said, it's not brain surgery, but it's just some manipulation on how you start and how you process your day from more of a physical and emotional and mental level.
Yeah.
It makes such a big difference, Mickey, that I see guys that get it and man, they perform at top levels in all areas of their life. It's like, why wouldn't you want to do that?
Right. Well, yeah, because I think it really goes back to the initial discomfort of I want to get whatever it is. Either I want to get every last second of sleep I can get, or the second I jump out of bed, I'm drawn. I check the worst thing we can do. I check my phone.
That is horrible. And I listen to that from I think it's Dean Graziosi had mentioned that.
Oh, okay.
I went through a program with him and Tony during COVID. And that was one of the things he really harped on was best thing you can do for yourself is don't even look at your phone for the first hour of the day.
Yep.
He said, hide it, turn it off, whatever. But there's so many people, they roll over first thing in the morning and they're looking at their phone and they're scrolling. You get into the doom scroll of Instagram or Facebook. It's like, now you feel like you get up, you feel horrible because everything's bad there, right? Or you're comparing yourself to all these glamorous people in life that are just, it's BS.
Right.
So yeah, I got a 23-year-old daughter. I'm trying to talk her out of doing that. It's like talking to a brick wall. So if I can help an older person, in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, then I'll aim there. So.
Well, that, and I think it puts us, I know for me, because I'm like you, where I've been working on myself a lot. Mm-hmm. And I find the phone thing was really big because it takes me out of being reactive. Versus, if I get on my phone, I check for my texts. God forbid I look at my emails because then I start working the second I wake up. Yep. And now I'm reactive and I'm on everybody else's timetable and my adrenaline goes up, my cortisol levels go through the roof, and I can feel it in my body. Versus I don't get on my phone. My phone actually stays in airplane mode until I have a whole slew of things I do in the morning before I even pick up. And I have a setting actually, then I'll put it to. And that allows for any like emergency calls to come through. So if, parents, my kids, whatever, they could get through, but that would be it. And that's how I spend my morning. And it very, very rarely do I ever hear my phone, but it's like right into meditation, my prayers, my things that will ground me and calm me. And Rick, I don't know if you remember this, but on the Collision Cocktail Hour, you shared like, maybe it was even a year ago, months and months and months ago, your morning routine. You shared it in the Collision Cocktail. I actually still have it on my desktop. I don't follow all of these, but it's like a motivation for me it's a reminder. Excellent. Yeah, of the things. And Rick has one. His goes from, you're waking up at 4:50 a.m., 10 till 5 a.m., and then it goes to 7:30. So he's got like a 2.5 hour thing that he goes through. Mine is not 2.5 hours. Mine is closer to an hour. I feel like whatever it is, even if it's a half hour, start with 15 minutes for goodness sake.
Sure. Yeah. If you're just doing something that's good for you and it's strictly just for you, first thing in the morning, there's no better way to start your day.
Yeah.
So mine just kind of evolved into what it is.
Yeah.
I got to be honest. Past 3-4 weeks, it's not been quite there. It's slipped off a little bit, so it haven't been working.
I won't tell.
No, but I started that once again. That went back to that first program I went through with Dean and Tony, and that was one of the things that Dean had mentioned that he has been doing a morning routine for years, and it makes a big difference. He explained what it does and why it does it. And I thought, that makes different. That makes sense. Why not?
Right.
I started doing that. And I've been on the same program for, 4 years now.
Wow.
And I tell you what, I feel it if I miss a day or 2 days.
Yes.
I really feel it. And it's hydration, it's lemon water, it's a green drink, it's exercise. And then it's sitting down and writing out what I'm going to do for the day. And so I plan everything. So when it's 7:30, 8 o'clock, I'm ready to rock. I've got everything done. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Mentally, physically, everything. And that's awesome. Anybody wants it? I actually made a PDF for that. And I'll gladly share that for anybody that wants that.
Okay.
Too.
I'll put your email in the description, Rick. Okay. So if you guys want it, you can hit Rick up and he'll send it over to you. I've got it. I also have it here. It's a good reminder for me every once in a while. I'm going to interrupt this podcast for just one quick second because a lot of people wonder, Mickey, what is it that you even do besides host a podcast? Well, I do marketing, and really the biggest thing that I do is help you drive more traffic to your business. And not even just more traffic, but consistent traffic to your business. As a former shop owner, I know how important that is. So if that's something you're interested in, or you just want to talk about marketing or developing your business in general, feel free to reach out. You can visit collisioncentermarketing.com. There's a calendar on there, and you can just book a time that works for you, and we'll set up a phone call. Or you can email or call me, and my notes are down in the description of this episode. But I hope to hear from you. I'd love to help you build your business. But in the meantime, you better get back to this podcast because it's really good. But yeah, I think it's something that we should all be looking at is those types of things. The other thing, I mean, we're really getting granular here, and I'm cool with it because I think it's so powerful. Like having a morning routine, whatever that is. And I heard somebody the other day that said, start with small changes. Like a lot of us are like, I'm going to go to the gym. I haven't been to the gym in 5 years, but I'm going to start going to the gym. I'm going to go 6 days a week. And then they go one day and then they fall off the second day. And then the third day, they're like, well, there went my 6 days. So now I'm out. I guess I'll start next week. And so I forget who it was that was talking about it. I don't think it was Ed Milet, but it could have been. Start with small changes. So maybe something that we're talking about right now, whatever it is, pick something and start to shift it. If it's waking up a little bit earlier, instead of waking up an hour and a half earlier, an hour earlier, they say start 15 minutes earlier, then do 30 minutes, like work your way. The sleeping thing, I feel like is a huge piece of it, especially as owners of businesses and managers. We have so much on our mind. There's so many things we're thinking about, and we're just and then in the evening we're on our social media because we finally have a time to relax, and then that just wires us. I'm sure your clients are probably getting coached to go to bed at a certain hour so that they can wake up and get a good sleep. I think in our industry, we pride ourselves on getting 4 hours of sleep. Yeah. I only get 3 hours of sleep every night. Look at me go. And you're like, oh.
Yeah. It's a bragging point. No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, I would agree. There's, this industry is very specific. It's so much different than other industries in a lot of ways. But one of them is it's very draining for most technicians and shop owners and managers and anybody that really hustles in this business. I mean, you're physically drained at the end of the day.
Right.
So the only time your body gets to really recharge, fix what's broke, rejuvenate your cells and all that stuff is when you're in a deep sleep. And if you're looking at your phone while you're in bed before you go to bed, now your brain will not shut off immediately, right? Because of the blue light or whatever.
Right.
And if you don't get a good solid sleep, you don't do a full repair, you don't feel as good as you would the next morning. You keep doing that day after day after day after day, and your body really never gets to rejuvenate itself. Guys pick weight, right? In their 40s, 50s, 60s, these guys get heavier and heavier. A lot of that is because when you don't get a good solid 7 hours of sleep, you will end up picking up more weight because something goes on in your body while you're sleeping, right? And it's like, I can't believe that would make a difference, but it does.
Yeah.
There's so many things that affect us. And like I said, this is a tough industry. I got so much appreciation for all those shop owners and workers out there that do what they do every day to make sure our families' vehicles are safe and properly repaired and back to us on time and all those kinds of things that, it makes sense for people to understand that they can do some things for themselves that's really helpful.
Yeah.
Probably prolong their life.
Yes.
Make life more enjoyable.
Right.
Mickey, I've met so many miserable people. It's really unfortunate. I've met so many miserable people in this business just because they're doing things to themselves that they could change and make big improvements. So I think that might be my internal drive, like why I keep doing what I'm doing. Yeah. I've been doing this podcast for 4 years, and it's a grind. It's a lot of work to get a nice quality, I believe mine's quality, to get a quality podcast out there on a weekly or bi-weekly basis.
Right.
For $0. So why would somebody want to do that? Right. It's just I think, part of my calling to try to help people within this industry. So I'll keep doing it. Yeah. Till I can find a robot that looks just like me.
They actually have AI now that can do that for both of us, actually. Frightening. Yeah, I agree. My
We
heart
could
is
make a new one called the Mick and Rick Show, right?
there. You
So
go.
we'll have two little
Two
icons on there
bots.
that are two bots.
Yeah. God only knows. God only knows what would come from that.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I love it. I hope that everybody's thinking and evaluating something that I think internally, honestly, we know there are things that we should be shifting. There are things right now as you're listening to this, you're like, yeah, I can do better with that. Whether it's the phone thing, the sleep thing, the food thing, the moving your body, being in a body shop and getting in a bazillion steps because you're running around the shop doing all the things is not the same as going and actually getting a workout and lifting weights. And it's not the same for your body. So whatever that one thing, I would challenge people, whatever the one thing is that popped into your mind, and we've all got it. We've all got at least one thing that we can work on. Pick one thing and think, okay, how can I tweak that and start to shift it? And you make the little shift and you make the little shift. I did the same thing. For me, it was do not pick up my phone in the morning. As difficult as that was, because I was so programmed to pick up that phone every morning, I am so grateful now I don't pick up that phone in the morning. And I started there. And then I would just, for my morning routine, I'd brush my teeth, wash my face, do the things. And then a half hour later, I'd be like, okay, now I'll go pick up my phone. So I started there. Then I added a meditation in the morning. If I have a little YouTube thing I listen to. And then
awesome.
It just kind of snowballed from there because I felt the results. Like you're saying, you don't believe the results until you get them oftentimes with this type of thing. Because it's like, oh yeah, that's fine for them. Mickey and Rick, that might work for them, but it doesn't work. No, it works for everybody. So whatever that one thing is, pick it and just shift it a little bit. Start. That I think that would be something. Do you have anything that you would like to add to that or throw out there also?
Well, I would agree that, pick one thing, start with it. I just want to tell you a quick story. I had two clients I worked with for a period of time. One was this really great lady that she had a couple things that were holding her back and, from getting a good night's sleep. And I started picking away at, okay, so what is your process in the morning? What's your normal morning routine look like? And the first thing she said was usually I'll get up and I'll grab my phone and I'll usually, because I asked her how long it takes from the time she gets up to where she's off to work, And so I'm picking that apart a little bit, going, so how much time do you spend on social media? Well, I don't know, probably an hour. So first thing in the morning, she's spending an hour on social media.
Wow.
Okay, well, that's really bad. You need to stop doing that, right? That may be hard because it's very addictive. There's a dopamine hit every time you look at something on Facebook or Instagram.
Right.
That keeps people going. It's like, gambling, right? You keep spinning the thing. So, and she was taking a sleeping pill at night before she went to bed to sleep because she's stressed. She had a very stressful, work routine. And so anyways, my two focuses was not so much on her business. I wanted to get her off that phone in the morning. And I worked really hard to get her to cut down that pill. She didn't think she could do it. And I think probably a month in, she got down to half a pill.
Wow.
Felt better. And then before we finished, she got off the pill. It's just little stuff like that we do as humans that we don't know that's, hey, listen, helps me sleep, or that's what I like to wake up to and see what's going on in the world. It's great for a second, right? But it's not a great routine to be stuck in. Because there's usually negative effects to that. So,
well, and sometimes you don't see the results immediately. Maybe the first day you get up and you're not on your phone for a half hour and you're like jonesing for it. You might not feel it in that moment. So it's like, that didn't. It's like, but this is no different. Like if you go to the gym, I'm going to go to the gym for 3 days and I'm going to be checking for my 6-pack at the end of that third day. Like it's going to it might take a little bit of time.
It's a 6-pack, but it's covered with a layer of flab. So it's in there somewhere. Right?
It's like, none of this is just like some overnight massive success. But like with anything, when you stick with it, then you start to see the results. And then you're like, wow.
Right.
Okay. I mean, my stress level, because I run high and I run busy, that I, like you were saying, I notice when I have not gone to bed, like what I call a decent time. If I'm staying up, like binging a Netflix show. And then in the morning, I'm tired. So I sleep a little bit longer. And then I don't do my little routine and I hop on my phone early, and I forego all the things that I know better. That whole day, I can feel it in my body. And I can feel it too, because I know the difference. I know the difference of how I feel when I'm getting my sleep, when I'm going to bed at a good time, when I wake up and I do my things, I'm off the phone. So I can feel it. Maybe the first day I don't feel it, but if I hold and if I push it to that second day, man, it is present. That just, I don't know if I would call it anxiety, but that tension, that it's just very present and palpable. It's like, wow, this is great. And I just hold it throughout the whole day. Sometimes I'll actually, like, I recognize it. So like at lunchtime, rather than sitting and eating at my desk working, I'll go outside and just leave my phone inside, go sit outside and just unplug for 20, 30 minutes, just take some deep breaths, eat my food, relax. And it's like, okay, just take a step away for a minute.
Yep. Yeah, if I could tell, people one thing out of all this, just to keep in mind is, each one of us is 100% responsible and 100% in control of how we feel every day. And I know that seems big and that seems impossible, but it's a fact. And once you can wrap your head around the fact and go, okay, yeah, you're right. What I choose to do in the morning, what I choose to do during the day, I choose to do. I don't know, there's no way holding a gun to your head saying you have to look at your phone. You have to sleep. You have to not go to the gym. Nobody's forcing you but yourself and your beliefs and your thoughts. That's it. Once you change that, once you figure out you can change that, anything's possible.
Yeah.
Anything's possible.
I love that. Can you say that part again? You're like, which part? No, I can't.
Which starts in the beginning? So, I think I might have had this in one of my podcasts. I'm not sure, but I put together a talk I did with Dave Lure at his group last fall.
Yeah,
it's called R&R Your Mindset for High Performance, and it was a lot of fun doing it. Right, so just something I built from some of the things I knew.
Yeah,
you are 100% responsible and 100% in control of your thoughts and how your day goes based on your thoughts.
Yeah.
Listen, other people can influence to a point, but like I said, you make the decision on what you do or don't do every minute of every day. So it is up to you. So I've had so many people will point the finger of blame at everything else around. It's like, okay, those are circumstances that's in your life, but you still have the control. I can choose to be positive every day, and I am positive almost every day because I'm choosing to be that way, because I know choosing to be negative or thinking about bad, crap happening or the worst case scenarios doesn't make anything any better.
Yeah.
It doesn't make those things, come true or not come true, but thinking positively about, I'm going to do this because I'm going to have a positive result, that usually works out.
Yep.
So once again, you're in control. You really are.
Yeah, I have a performance coach and he always says, no one else can upset you. No one else can stress you out. It's how you choose to take the input that either a circumstance or a person is giving you. It's all, and you actually spoke on it recently. I'm looking here at his episode number 166. If you guys have a chance, take a listen to that one. And it's exactly what my performance coach talked about. Things happen. It's not good or bad. They're happenings. Things are happening. Somebody says something to you in a certain tone or whatever. It's not good or it's not bad. It's how we internalize it, and then we will label it as something. So he always says, if we say in my coaching class, well, so-and-so, this happened to me, and therefore I'm feeling, he's like, no. That thing didn't cause you. You are choosing that emotion to react with that emotion. Take responsibility. If you don't want to feel that way, choose not to feel that way.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, that's like Yoda. Because like it's so hard. Their emotions are so powerful. But at the end of the
I
day, when
know.
we look at it, it's something that happened. It's not good or it's
Yeah.
bad. It happened. The car came back and it wasn't repaired properly. And it's got QC picked it up and now the customer's here to pick it up. It ain't ready. Not good or
Right.
it's not bad. It happened. What are we going to do with it? How are you going to feel about it? You get to choose all those things.
Absolutely. And all those changes affect you personally, but also your business.
Right.
So for, and our core audience that's going to listen to this is going to be business owners. And it's like, well, my business life's pretty good, but my personal life just seems to be crazy. It's nuts. And I don't feel like I have control. Well, believe me, your business is not in control either. So, because whatever goes on with you and your thoughts and how you act, it's going to affect everything in your world, right? Your relationships, your health, your business, and just how you feel. So, once again, you got full control. And if you need help getting through that, there's so many people out there that I think would love to help, that want to help. It's not a sign of weakness because every single human being's got issues, problems, things that go on with them that they can't figure out how to fix. Well, that's why you learn from others. That's why people read. That's why people watch YouTube videos, and not the YouTube videos that you're talking about. I'm talking they had violin type YouTube videos, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot. There's so much, especially the advent of podcasts. There is so much good stuff out there available. Yeah. It's free. It costs you nothing.
Right.
And you could listen to a little bit or a lot of it, whatever you want. Anytime I've been in my car, it's like a rolling college for me. So I'm constantly listening and trying to learn something. And I've never learned anything that I look back and said, I wish I wouldn't have learned that. You know what I mean?
Good point.
It all helps. It really does.
Yeah. I love that. Well, I feel like we've given them a lot to think about. For some people, this is the first time they've even broached any of these topics. And for other people, they're like, yeah, I'm on it. And this is a great reminder. I mean, because there is no arrival. You don't get there and then you're like, done. Check that off my list because I'm good now. Perfection achieved. So whoever we are, we got stuff. We got stuff we can work on. So I hope today was either a reminder or an awakening for you to start evaluating some things and just, like I said, take one thing and move it a little bit. And podcasts are awesome. That's why I do this. That's why Rick does this. There'll be a link to his podcast in the description. So please go and check his podcast out. They're much shorter than mine. So you can listen to several.
Not always.
Yeah, you do have some long ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's all good. So thank you so much for coming on and chit-chatting with me about this. I think it's the perfect time in our industry. I talk to a lot of anxiety-ridden shop owners and managers on a daily basis. And I think everything we talked about is super helpful if actually put into practice. And we can all be better about that.
Right. If you didn't turn this off after the first 5 minutes, congratulations. So, because a lot of people go, they're talking about emotions and cry. I don't want to. No, not for me.
No. That touchy-feely. Yeah. No.
Like I said, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a trained nothing. But I've learned over years, you do this and this gets better. Well, why not do that? Right?
Right. Yeah. Right. 100%. Okay. So there's going to be a link to the podcast, a link to your website if they want to sign up for any of the emails. And also Rick's email will be in there. So if you want to hit him up, if you want to get some coaching, if you want to get his PDF of his morning routine, just to give you some ideas. Yeah, I love it. And I hope that, especially during this crazy time that the world seems to be in right now, that these things that we're talking about, I guarantee you, I 100% guarantee that, and there's not many things you can put a guarantee on, but I 100% guarantee that if you wake up and don't turn on your phone for the first hour of your day, I 100% come back and tell me if it didn't help. You'd be the first that I've ever heard of. Literally. Any of the things we talked about, but that one specific thing, I freaking guarantee you.
And you won't die not looking at your phone the first hour. Nothing bad will happen.
Right.
I guarantee you that.
Yeah. I'm with you. Well, thank you, Rick. I always love chatting with you. It's always good to see you.
You too, Mickey. Love to talk to you too. So you've got a lot of the same mindset stuff that I've got, and we think alike on several things. So it's always nice to have that conversation.
Yeah.
So.
This is why we always have so much fun hanging out when we actually see each other in person. We get to geek out on all this stuff.
It is fun. So.
It is fun. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for listening to today's episode of the Body Banging Podcast. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. Hit that notification bell. And if you're listening, make sure you click the follow or subscribe button as well so you can get notified when the next one drops. And we will see you all in 2 weeks for the next one. Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We have some incredible topics and guests coming your way you will not want to miss. If you are watching on YouTube and don't want to miss the latest and greatest, you'll want to hit the bell after subscribing, so you will get a pop-up each time a video podcast goes live. To our devoted fans, would you mind paying it forward and sharing this little gem with someone else you think may benefit from it? Much love from all of us here at Body Bangin', all things auto body.